All right, Shalom, Israel. First and foremost, as always, I would like to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha, Kwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing his truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Now I'm gonna just play this video real quick, showing you that we're in World War III right now. Okay. And the reason why I say that is because the two main characters or countries that's going to be responsible for getting this war started is Amalek, claiming to be Jewish, and they're not. Okay, those fake ass Israelis. Okay. And of course, the Iranians, which according to the Bible would be the Persians. Okay, they're Elamites, but the Lord is going to use these two nations to get World War III started. So We're living in World War III right now. And I'm going to play this clip, which is a video uploaded from the beloved brother Manak Tazakba from South Carolina. As you see right there, his YouTube channel is GMS South Carolina 08. Subscribe and be edified.
From the Middle East right now, Israel launching what it calls a precise retaliatory strike against Iran. The IDF saying it was targeting military capabilities. Iran's army out with a statement today saying 2 military personnel were killed in the Israeli attack on Iran. Joining me now, foreign correspondent Tom Sufi Burridge, monitoring developments from Israel for us, and former National Security Council Senior Director for Counterterrorism, Javed Ali. Tom, I want to start with you. Israel says its attack is now over, while Iran appears to be downplaying the impact of the airstrikes. What is the latest that you're hearing from inside Israel today?
Yeah, so this was a series of strikes, effectively, that lasted about 4 hours throughout last night, Phil. We are hearing now from Israeli officials that most of the attacks from Israeli fighter jets came from outside of Iranian airspace. That points towards the long-range capabilities Israel has. We know Israel used drones in this attack. And I think, look, it's interesting at this point in time that Iran is downplaying the significance of the attack, or appears to be at least doing that. I mean, Iranian officials have at least admitted that 3 of their military bases were targeted. At least 2 of their soldiers were killed in the strike. I mean, from an Israeli perspective, and it appears to have gone to plan. The Israelis did listen to the US and did not go after Iran's nuclear and oil sites. That's important. But in a way, this was a very, very significant blow to Iran's military on the face of it. Multiple waves of strikes using dozens of Israeli aircraft, F-15s, F-16s, also using drones. And what is unclear, I think, is the extent to which Israel has really knocked back both drone and missile production sites in Iran and Iran's air defenses. Israeli officials are pushing this line that now, because they've hit Iran's air defenses so hard, that if Iran were to retaliate, then Iran would be much more vulnerable to another aerial attack from Israel.
And Javed, for years, Israel and Iran have targeted each other's interests and allies while rarely taking responsibility for their attacks. So what do these new developments mean for the region now that they are directly firing at each other? And what does it mean for the U.S.?
Well, Phil, nice to be with you and Tom. And since April, when Iran launched its first salvo of missile and drone attacks against Israel, and then Israel launched a relatively limited one, and then from October, Iran's second salvo of missile attacks, and now the much more aggressive Israeli response from last night that Tom mentioned. This hostility is out in the open, but it's still relatively restrained because, as Tom mentioned, the more significant targets that Israel almost certainly could have hit, they did not, and I think there was a message behind that as well.
Yeah, certainly the U.S. Made it known that they did not want Israel to strike any kind of nuclear infrastructure. Tom, while we were talking about this last night as the strike was unfolding, this was sort of a best case scenario and a worst case situation. European leaders are also now on alert as tensions continue to grow, and all eyes now on a possible Iranian response. Foreign minister saying Iran, quote, has no limits when it comes to defending its interests. Is that talk? What does that mean?
It could just be rhetoric. I mean, I think also, Phil, you could say that the Iranians are leaving the door open right now. I mean, I think, in reality, they're probably considering the impact of the strikes, both on their own military capabilities, the severity. To what extent did the Israeli military knock back those missile and drone production sites? Remember, Iran has been selling those drones all around the world, in particular to Russia for its war in Ukraine. It shows you the global nature of this conflict to some extent. So look, the Iranians have a calculation to make now. They'll want to save face. They won't want to do nothing. They might not act very quickly. They might bide their time, and they might have to bide their time because it's a very, very difficult calculation to make. They will want to do something, but if they go too far, again, they are up against a very, very powerful military in the Israelis who have way more capabilities than them, and it could end even worse than it has last night.
And Javed, I'm wondering what would have to happen in order for the U.S. to be brought further into this conflict? In other words, what kind of response would we see from Iran that would make the U.S. more involved?
So if the U.S. were to get involved again militarily, I would have to imagine Iran would try to launch what resembled what they've already done in April and early October with these combined ballistic missile and cruise missile and long-range rocket and drone attacks. And in both of those instances, U.S. assets in the region from the air, the ground, and the sea contributed to hitting those weapons and making sure they didn't enter Israeli airspace. And then Israel has its own capabilities with Iron Dome and Arrow. And recently, the U.S. moved another missile defense system into Israel. So I would expect if Iran does something like that again, we would see that similar kind of U.S. response. But I agree with Tom. I don't think Iran right now is in a moment where they're going to try to retaliate from what happened last night. I think they're going to sit and wait and kind of consider a bunch of different options.
All right, Tom Sufi Burridge and Javed Ali, thank you both very much for taking us through this latest troubling development in the Middle East.
All praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai.
So as you saw in that video right there, all right, yeah, it's going down. All right, you got that man asked the question, what would happen if the United States got involved militarily? Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen if the United States gets involved militarily. Russia is going to step in, okay? And that's according to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, in which I'm going to grab in this video. Revelation 11, verse 14, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Now, the first woe is talking about World War II, okay? And the reason why World War II is described as a woe, in which the word woe goes back to the Hebrew word abadium, which means destruction, okay? And these wars are described as being destructful because you got wars that's fought with missiles. You know, you got wars that are fought with, tanks, explosives. But what made World War II the most destructful war in history was the fact that America dropped 2 atomic bombs, Fat Boy and Skinny Boy, on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which are 2 cities located in Japan. So that was a very destructful war, okay? That was a very destructful war, And with war comes what? Death, bloodshed, destruction of cities. Okay, so indeed, the second woe is talking about World War II, and a lot of people don't realize it, but World War I, World War II, and World War III is in the Holy Scriptures. Okay, so the third woe is talking about World War III, okay, which cometh quickly, as I read right there in Revelation 11 and 14, right? So then we go to Matthew 24, verse 6, and these are the words of Yahweh, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, in a KJV. Okay, Matthew 24, verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. In the NLT, and ye will hear of wars and threats of wars, but don't panic. Yes, these things must take place, but the end won't follow immediately. Okay, so we're not out of the woods yet. Okay, remember, before the nuclear war happens, the RFID microchip has to be made mandatory. Okay. And if anybody know anything about the C-HIP, which at this point, this is the year 2024. There's no excuse. You should know by now that the marketed beast is the CHIP, the micro CHIP. Okay. Okay. So you're going to hear of wars and commotions. Okay. Then we go to Luke 21, verse 9. And this is what it says. But when ye hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by, meaning that the end is not going to follow immediately, as it says in the NLT. And when ye hear of wars and and insurrections, don't panic. Yes, these things must take place first, but the end won't follow immediately. Okay. Then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And right now, what are we seeing? The kingdom of Amalek. Because those fake Jews in the land of Israel, okay, calling themselves Israelis, them fake ass Jewish people, which are not the real Jews in the land of Israel, okay, their line goes back to Amalek. And Amalek is a descendant of Esau. Anybody that is a descendant of Esau is an Edomite. Esau, who is Edom. That's in Genesis 36, verse 1. Esau is Edom, or Esau, who is Edom. So we're witnessing the kingdom of Amalek. Okay, we're witnessing the kingdom of Amalek, rising against the kingdom of Elam. Okay. The kingdom of Elam which will be the East Indians, okay, them Persians. So kingdom is rising against kingdom, as we see right there. And of course, you got Esau being divided against himself with this whole situation with the Ukrainians and Russians. Okay. So a lot is happening. Okay. So let's go to the Old Testament now. Okay. And let's go to Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 45. And let's see what it says. Jeremiah 50, verse 45. Therefore, hear ye the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he hath proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. So, as you may know, Babylon is the United States of America, okay? And his purposes that he hath proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. You see that? Surely the least of the flock. Now, the least of the flock is talking about those Amalekites in the land of Israel. That's the least of the flock right there, okay? Because, and the reason why they're known as the least of the flock, because there's less of them than any other people on the planet. I believe the population of Amalek is the smallest amongst every other nation on the planet. You got the Russians, which are Edomites, their population is in the hundreds of millions, No matter of fact, oh man, let's do this. Okay. Okay. And let's go to Google here for a quick second. Okay. Let's type in. Okay. What is come on, man. What is the Jewish population of Israel? Okay. See, look, 7 million. That's not really a lot of people. Europe's population is in 100 millions. Russia's population is in 100 millions. Germany's population is in 100 millions. The East Indians, their population is in 100 millions. Okay. Hey, Ishmael, let's see. Love doing this kind of research. Well, not this kind of research. I just love researching, period. What is the East in what is the East Indian population? What is the East Indian population and I'm not typing in Canada, because Canada, that's mostly Gad, which will be from the which will be the so-called North American Indians. Okay. So if they are being called East Indians, then it's probably because they're North American Indians living on the east side of Canada. Okay. Because the North American Indians are not the same as the East Indians. Okay. And the North American Indians are not Indians. Okay. The word Indian goes back to savage. And our people are not savages. Not unless they carry themselves like Indians. Let me see. looking at 226 million. Okay. Let me see. What is the Arabian population? What is the Arabian population? I'm not going to type in each state because, there's a couple of countries that are ran by Arabians, such as Iraq, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, not Nubani, some of the areas of Egypt is also ran by Arabians, which would be the biblical Ishmaelites. There's another state that's also ran and controlled by Arabians. Okay. I think Syria might also be a country that's controlled by Arabians. But let's see, Afghanistan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Dubai. That's the other one I was looking for. Okay. So we see right here, the total population of the Arab world is 473.27 million people. Okay. So we can clearly see that these so-called Israelis are the least of the flock. Okay. They have the lowest population on the whole planet. Now another thing, okay, to show you that those people in the land of Israel are not the real Jews, right? Did not the Lord say that the Israelites will be as the sand of the sea? There's way more than 7 million grains of sand on the beach. Okay. Let me see. What is the African diaspora population? What is the African population? So the population of Africa is 1,526,335,263, which is about 18.3% of the world's population. Now let's see, what is Europe's population? What is Europe's population? 744,860,395. That's Europe's population. Okay. And we must also consider the fact that there are Israelites living amongst these other people too, So there are Israelites living in these other countries. The Israelites, which are the so-called Negro, Latino, and the so-called North American Indians. See, what is Brazil's? What is Brazil's population? 212,200,000 212.6 million. See, so now you know what the Bible means by the least of the flock. You know, them so-called Israelis, they have the smallest population on the planet. You know, that's why they're known as the least of the flock. In Jeremiah 50 verse 45. So therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord that he have taken against Babylon, which is the United States of America, and his purposes that he have proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock, which are those so-called Israelis, they're the least of the flock that shall draw them out. That shall draw who out? That shall draw Babylon out into this confrontation against Iran. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them, because in the midst of World War III, which we're in the midst of World War III, okay, nukes are going to be shut off. But now, as I mentioned earlier, before the nukes are shut off, the microchip is going to be made mandatory, and it's going to come upon the whole earth. And that's according to Revelation, the 3rd chapter, the hour of temptation that shall come up upon all the world to try them that dwell therein. So let's read that in the NLT. Listen to the Lord's plans against Babylon and the land of the Babylonians. Even the little children will be dragged off like sheep, and their homes will be destroyed. Okay, I don't like that translation. So yeah, I'm not even gonna break that down. In which Esau is likened unto a child. I believe that's in Isaiah. Is it Isaiah, the 3rd chapter? As for my people, children are their oppressors. That's talking about the Edomites. But let me see. Let's go to Ezekiel. So you see, the reason why, because if you notice, it says, surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them, right? Because you see, as soon as Iran gets America involved into their confrontation against Iran militarily, what's going to happen is Russia's going to step in, okay? Russia's going to step in to counter the United States and to defend its interest it has in Iran. So Russia, again, is going to be commanded to be a guard unto these other nations, okay? So when we read Ezekiel 38 verse 1, as it says right here, and the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog. The Gog, when you look at Gog on the ancient map, okay, Gog is in the same region as Russia, okay? So Russia is modern day Gog. The land of Magog, which Magog goes back to Magog, which is where you get the word from, which I believe the Hebrew word for from is Mayan, 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 which means from. So if you just take the yan out and you put ma plus Gog, you get from Gog. So it says the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Meshech and Tubal, those are also, that's talking about Turkey, which is predominantly ran and controlled by Ishmaelites, which will be Arabians. Okay. And prophesy against them and say, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. So the Lord is against Russia, but the Lord is going to use them to ultimately destroy America. Okay. Okay, so it says, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince, meaning the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I would turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. Meaning what? The Lord is going to turn Russia away from being an ally of the United States of America. Okay? The Lord is going to turn Russia away from being friends or allies, because at one point, Russia used to be, cool with the United States of America. But you see, it's not in the Lord's plans. Okay? It's not in the Lord's plans to be an ally, for Russia to be an ally. It's not in the Lord's plans for Russia to be an ally of the United States. So I would turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and bring thee forth and all thine army, and the horses and the horsemen, all of them clothed with all sort of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, meaning they specialize in gun combat, seeing that the modern day sword is the gun. Persia, okay, which is Iran. Persia, Ethiopia, okay, which is predominantly Hamites, Africans, which are the biblical Hamites. Okay, Libya, which are predominantly Hamites, okay. With them, all of them with shield and helmet, okay. Gomer, which I believe is, again, I believe that's all Gomer and all his bands, and the house of Togarmah. Togarmah, I believe, is also in Turkey. Okay. But I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on Gomer, okay, of the North Quarters and all his bands, okay, and many people with thee. It says, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee. What company that are assembled unto Russia? Well, it lists it right here in verse 5. Okay, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya. Okay. You see? So be thou prepared and prepare for thyself and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be what? Be thou a guard unto them. So that's why Russia is going to get involved militarily if the United States gets involved militarily. Because Russia is commanded to be a guard unto these smaller nations such as Iran and Libya and Ethiopia. That's why you don't really hear about the United States just, going around and bombing these smaller countries that are responsible for being a guard to these other nations, because they know that the moment they do, Russia is going to step in and get involved militarily. Okay? So that was pretty much it on that, and then if Russia gets involved, NATO is going to step in, because NATO is an ally of the United States for now, until Obadiah 1:7 comes to pass. And then, Turkey, China is going to step in because they're an ally of Russia. North Korea is going to step in because they're an ally of Russia. Germany is going to step in because they're an ally of the United States. Okay. Turkey is going to step in because they're an ally of Russia. Okay. And just like that, you're going to have an all-out war. Okay. You're going to have an all-out war World War III is going to be happening over there in the Middle East. And then the war is just going to get so to the point to where they're going to be like, Russia going to be like, you know what? Ready to nukes. And they're going to shoot nukes on this country. So surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them can be linked to Isaiah chapter 13, verse 19. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when Yahweh overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And how was ancient Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed? By fire and brimstone. The fire and brimstone in this generation is going to come through those intercontinental ballistic missiles. Okay. And those intercontinental ballistic missiles are going to come from Russia, Europe. Okay. Well, they're going to come from NATO. Okay. Like it tells you in Revelation 17, verse 17. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast. These shall hate the whore which is the United States of America, and shall burn her and make her naked and burn her with fire. Okay. So let's read verse 20. It shall never be inhabited. Oh yeah, and those intercontinental ballistic missiles which can carry nuclear warheads, they're going to come from Russia, NATO, China, India, Iran, North Korea. Okay. And I believe Turkey, India. Okay. So it says, it shall never be inhabited, because after this country is destroyed by 200 million nuclear warheads, this country will be uninhabitable. Okay. So it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt there from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there. So after the fire goes out on this country from being destroyed by nuclear warheads, okay, this place is going to be a desert. Okay. This place is going to be a desert, which describes why there's going to be desert-like creatures roaming this country after the fire goes out. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. And the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant palaces. And her time is near to come, her days shall not be prolonged. So with that, I'm going to say shalom. It's on to the next one.